Thank you, Livia, so much. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for being here. Since Livia mentioned the format of a workshop, I'm going to ask for help. How many of you ever been to a bad workshop? Be honest, bad workshop, right? Or not so good, yeah? How many of you been to really good workshops before?
We're in one right now.
Oh, well, that's the point, all right? What's the difference between the bad ones and the good ones, right? The good ones, no. The good ones are when you have people participating. That's the whole idea, right? So these things work really well when I'm just the facilitator of a great conversation. Oh, thank you so much. I should have brought my shades, yeah? Nossa. I mean, oh my goodness. All right, so let's talk. When Livia first sent me the schedule and a topic, and I read this, I said, this is going to be easy for me, because I thought I said wordy person. I talk a lot, right? So I said, oh, I could do that. I'm wordy, you know. It may only take 200 to say 200 words, but I use 1,000 because I talk a lot. But then I saw the L, and it said worldly. I said, well, I can conquer this, I think. Let me figure this out. So I read the Gospel According to Spiritism, chapter 17, item 10. Everything we're going to see in the slides tonight, I can't take any credit for it. It's all from the book. The unique stuff to us tonight will be our comments and what we write and what we talk about. So why don't we start with question number 1. What is a worldly person, and do you consider yourself worldly? So please, any ideas? You can write it down, you can shout it out. There's no protocol or right or wrong way to do this.
Well-traveled.
Well-traveled, that's one I thought of too, yes. Well-traveled, worldly, you've seen the world. All right. Anything else? Any other ideas? Yeah, that's another way to look at it. Materialistic in the sense that you want to be the most popular trends, the most recent stuff, the nicest car, like that kind of way, right? Is that what you mean? Awesome. Cool. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
I see that kind of as the opposite of a sheltered person. Like
Okay.
somebody that'll be more open to learning new cultures, new lifestyles, new
Yeah, of the world, okay.
religious ideas.
I like that.
Someone that's open to new ideas.
Very nice. That's a one I hadn't thought of, but I think it perfect fit. It definitely ties in. Did we miss anything? Can you think of anything else? Yes, ma'am.
I believe that when we work in travel, we have the opportunity to meet a lot of different kind of people with
Sure.
different background. And I don't mean worldly materialistic. I come in from big cities. I went to all the capitals, like from here, from where I came
Uh-huh.
other side of the world. And it's cool, even though I went to big cities, but I also enjoy going to small cities for peace, rest, relax. But big cities will be to recharge, refuel, renew. On the other hand, in another way, you can recharge, refuel as well in small towns.
Okay.
And they all have different mentality, different
Okay.
experience. And I think we learn which you be either one, and anywhere you go, and you just have to be open to the world. You know,
Okay.
it's
So
fantastic.
open to the different cultures, the different viewpoints, the different ways of living, different philosophies. Okay. All right. Well, Google knows everything, right?
Google says knowledgeable, knowing, enlightened, shrewd, mature, seasoned.
All right. And that probably.
Cultivated culture.
And check out the next slide. I didn't use Google, but I was close, right? I used dictionary.com. All right, it's not working. Huh. All right, my computer is frozen just like the air conditioner. That's the problem. It's so hot in here, the computer's not working.
It's getting better.
There we go. So dictionary.com, this is the definition of worldly, right? Of a person experienced and sophisticated. I heard several versions of that, right, as we were talking tonight. The one on the bottom here is of or concerned with material values or ordinary life rather than a spiritual existence. So I heard different variations of that, right? Very good. I think we covered the main definitions and also looked at it in a different perspective. So the next question on your piece of paper here, right, is if we are either of these or a combination of these, does being that type of person prevent you from evolving spiritually? Can you be caught up in the material aspects of life? Can you become experienced in the world and sophisticated by today's cultural standards and still evolve spiritually? This is a hard one because I think we're going to get different answers. I think we're going to be all across the spectrum. But please, I'm ready to hear your answers. What do you think? When I first read this, I thought, nah, if you're materialistic, no way, you know. What's that?
It all depends.
Depends on what?
What do you base your materialism on?
Look at this. Wow.
What's the importance?
I mean, there's a lot of good, famous people that, you know, I name a few, you know, Bon Jovi,
Okay.
Oprah,
Gates.
Gates.
All right.
You know,
They all
they all
help.
had a lot of money, but they also helped a lot too.
Awesome. Okay. So I hear a couple yeses. Anybody think no? Come on, Lou. I saw you. You started to say something.
Well, I don't think no, because here's the thing. I think there needs to be a balance between the two, right?
Yeah,
I think that obviously we live in a material world. So
Sure.
we have materialistic necessities.
Yes.
But I think that it's important that we don't make those things a priority and rather utilize those things as a means to help people and evolve spiritually. So I
Okay.
think they can go hand in hand if we have the right balance for both.
Okay. Wonderful. I like that answer. Yes, sir. Richard. Is it Richard, right?
Yeah,
All
Richard,
right.
yeah. I think it's about awareness and just being aware of your own materialism and your own ego and being able to detach from it when necessary. Basically understanding that there's a difference between the two. That the materialism isn't who you really are. It's your spirit.
So I'm hearing that really what we really are spirits
Yeah.
in a material body. And I think you just said what I've believed all along and what we learn a lot is that ego and pride are probably the two biggest killers of
Yeah.
spiritual evolution, right?
Yeah.
That's what I heard. That's awesome, man.
Yeah, thanks.
Awesome. Very good. Well, I think you guys hit all these on the head. Those match up really well with some of the slides that we are going to talk about tonight. In the gospel, as we progress through this item in the chapter, it talks about of the world, right, and materialism and experienced and sophisticated, but then it gets down into what he calls or what they call an individual in the world, right? So in our essence, right, we are a spirit. We're an eternal being, created simple and lacking knowledge, living life after life, evolving to a perfect spirit at some point down the road in this thing. And they say that to do this, to be this individual in the world, to be able to be materialistic to a degree and to be sophisticated and to be of the world of the time that we're in, they basically say to do this successfully, right, you have to have a sentiment of compassion. That is what always must animate the hearts of those who gather under the Lord's sight to implore the assistance of good spirits. So, as we are walking the earth, as we are living this material life, if we have the sentiment of compassion in our hearts, where we want to do good, where we want to follow the example, this is how we're going to draw good spirits towards us and positive energies, by having the sentiment of compassion in us, as much as possible, at all times, if we can. And that to that end, we want to purify our heart. Decisions that we make, choices that we make, people that we interact in, they should be based out of love and compassion. In other words, how often, and I find myself doing this more than I'd like, and especially preparing for this, since I've been working on this for, I don't know, I started a couple weeks ago, I just finished it over the weekend, and I'm more aware of mundane things in my head, right? Stuff that's really not important. Trivial stuff, right? Getting caught up on Facebook. And there's nothing wrong with reading Facebook. But when you start gossiping about it, or you have fights on Facebook, and you get caught up in the drama, right? That's mundane, right? Or futile thoughts. When you let this stuff linger in you, right? You want to eradicate that as much as possible. You want to lift up your spirit to all those that you're calling, right? Because whatever you're resonating with, whatever you're thinking about, whether you're positive or negative, what are you doing? You're drawing that energy to you. So if I spend my time reading the gossip pages on Facebook and getting caught up in the drama of professional threads and people disagreeing, I'm just drawing negativity towards me. But if I'm reading the gospel, if I'm hanging out with people that think like me and act like me, and we study together, we elevate our thoughts together, what am I doing? I'm drawing positive energy. And all that good stuff that's around us, if we're focused on it, if we're vibrating positive energy, we're going to receive that as opposed to the negative influence. Does that make sense? Yeah? Cool. All right. And what do they tell us? If we do that, then we find the proper dispositions and we sow the seed that will germinate in our soul, producing fruit, the fruit of charity and justice. So get rid of the mundane kind of stuff, and it gets better. Now, if we spend our time with spiritists, let's say, or with people that act more like Christ than not, that don't spend their time in mundane thought. They're productive. They help other people. They're charitable. If we do that, right, can we be sophisticated? Can we be experienced? Can we live a worldly life and enjoy material things? Do they coincide or do they conflict? So it's your turn to answer that. I'm done talking for a little bit. What do you think? Do they contradict each other? Can you have the two realities? Can you be worldly and spiritual?
Yes, we can.
Yes?
As long as we are not so, we don't use the material thing to hurt anyone or to make anybody else feel less than you.
Okay.
As long as you treat everybody nicely. I know a lot of real wealthy people, they actually are nicer and they're more generous and they're kinder to other people because they have the time to really improve themselves, travel the world, go to Africa, see all those miserable people in the country, so they become humble and
Okay.
willing to help.
All right.
Yeah.
I agree with humble.
Okay. So that you can have both is what you're saying.
Yeah, of course I saw also people like when they used to be poor and when they become rich, they become arrogant and they start to treat it bad. Those people where he forgot where he coming from or treat it bad and those one helping him along the way and they use the money to become arrogant or cocky about it.
Yeah, it could go that way.
Yeah, but I said it's really important. It's not about the money, but in who you really are.
Okay.
Sometimes I feel like people they born, to no matter what, with or without money, still some of them still nice and they're kind to other people.
Okay.
And some people when they born with some karma, no matter what, they born me. Even they get rich, sometimes they just use the money to be even meaner.
Okay.
For them.
So what I'm hearing you say is they don't conflict. You can be both. You might land on one side or the other, but the possibility exists. Any other ideas? Yes, ma'am.
And maybe like that's what somebody said. She said about balance. Because you live in a planet, or you are human beings, right?
Yes.
You like share this experience and connect. So I know like some people have this kind of different spiritual path. They go to the mountains to meditate. You cannot like living just meditate is good, but you here you have to consume things. You have to have material things sometimes.
Okay.
You have to live in, not that you have to live in comfort, but let's make part of this pace of our evolution, this stage of our evolution.
Very good,
That's
yeah.
the reason in the planet.
Yep, I understand.
Yes,
And
right.
so I'm hearing balance, and I'm hearing that
Yeah, that's part.
material.
Being human.
It's like that. It's like that saying. We live in this world, but we're not of this world.
Okay.
That's the way I see it.
Yeah, you like
We have to live here because we need money to feed ourselves. We have to work. We have to make money. Does that make us? No, we need those things to live. But that's a material thing.
And the way
Without
you
money, we couldn't.
and the way you accumulate those things or you produce that to live defines kind
Right,
of
you choose
the
it.
kind of person you are.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can think of many situations where my ego caused me problems. Absolutely. All of us, right?
So it is possible to live
It is.
as long as you have your ego under check.
Yes. And let's see what the gospel tells us, right? Do they conflict? And absolutely not, the mentors tell us. No. do not think that since we direct you to prayer and mental evocation daily, that we wish a mystic life for you, right? So they don't want you on your knees and praying all the time and wearing plain clothes or religious garb. They don't want you to be a mystic, right? They want you to live with the men and women of your time. So be of your time, right? Be cosmopolitan if you want. And if the trend is plaid in the spring and pink in the summer, go for it, right? Dress with the fashion of the time. Enjoy the life that you live in, right? Live in the way of the time. Observe the social necessities of the time. Even the frivolities of the day, the silly stuff, right? The silly stuff. Go for it, right? But do it with sentiment. I heard 3 of you say that, right, at least. And I know most of you were thinking it. But do it with a sentiment of purity, which may sanctify them. What does that mean? A sentiment of purity. Love in your heart. You okay? You need some water. You sure?
Yeah.
All right, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Okay, all right. I have this effect on people that talks all the time. They get choked up, they can't breathe. I'm sorry. I don't mean to be this way. But with a sense of purity, right? Love in your heart. And we talk about Christ a lot in the Spirit Center, right? And the way he lived. The choices he made, the things he said and did, the way he acted, were out of love. Love for man, love for God, and love for teaching others by example. So what they mean here is purity in your heart, which will sanctify them. The more I live according to the lessons of Christ, right, by his example, the more pure I become, the more I evolve, the more I atone for mistakes that I've made in the past. And I become sanctified is the word they use. They go on to tell us that we've been called to enter into contact with spirits of different natures and opposite characters. Remember that whole thing about people being poor, then getting rich, forgetting where they came from, right? We all go through changes in this lifetime, right? We evolve, we go back sometimes, but in this one lifetime we can experience many different types of ways to live. And we come into contact with different people at different places. So essentially, as we're living this life, a big part of this is to learn how to live with others, not to judge, how to get along in harmony, not to clash with them, and to do it with a happy, cheerful smile. So if we were to be simply thinking like we do sometimes when we think about a religious person or a spiritual person, somebody that does no wrong, right? They're stoic. They have no sense of humor. They're boring. They're no fun to be around. Or they avoid temptation. They don't go out with them because they're going to be mad if you have a beer or something, right? What they're telling us here is that's simply not the case, right? You can interact with others, be cheerful and happy, and grow. And how do we do that, right? Happy in what sense is the question they ask. Cheerful in one sense. Does that mean in a material way? Does that mean that one way or the other is more important? No, you guys have already answered that. It's balance, right? You can definitely enjoy the material life. If you've done well financially, if you've accumulated assets or credit, right, and you've lived your life in a way that's honorable, right, that's positive, don't be ashamed of. Yes, ma'am.
No, I don't want to cut you off. I just want to
Please save me. I was getting lost. I was rambling. I was all over the place. It was perfect timing.
No, I just want to add because some people for me the way I see money is just energetic thing. For me abundance is everywhere. Unfortunately, you live in a society that's based on lack of things. Some people see another people they have a lot of money as a greed. Not everybody that has money there are greed. And sometimes when you get this money, that's when you can help. More money than you have, more you can help.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes people get this conscious of mind. Oh, I cannot have money. A lot of very, very religion. I'm not judging, but a lot of very religion. Some simple. If you go to those kind of very poor neighborhood, they go to the church. They put the only money they have there for the church.
Sure.
So that's the only thing I know some of them they do by heart, or some of them they do like by kind of,
Because
how
you're
do you
told
say that?
Brainwash.
Brainwash,
Yeah.
thank you. Yeah, but so if you have more
Either way.
heart, more you can help. You know, I think that's the way nature goes. Like money is just energetic. It's not good
So
or
if you
bad.
have a ton of dough and you just want to throw it around and you give for the sake of showing off, is that okay?
Oh, and it's not in the point becomes like
It's a sentiment,
like
right?
That's kind of, yeah, you have intention.
Intention.
You have, like the reason there they say that you have
Yeah.
to be innocent.
And that
Like,
person
and
with
you
and a
really
person with
give your
less
heart.
that maybe only has a few extra bucks in their pocket, but they give
They
what
know
they
what-
have
yeah.
out of their heart,
Yeah.
much more huge, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Thank you for sharing. Appreciate it. So let's see what the next slide tells us. Any questions so far? No? All right. So the cheerfulness that we live by is provided by a clear conscience. So we know we're working hard, we're helping others, we're compassionate. If we make money, that's okay. If we don't have money, that's okay. As long as we have a clear conscience and know that we're doing our best, we know that we're going to inherit this, what they call the heirs of heaven, right? And we don't necessarily believe in heaven as a physical or geographical location, but it's in that purity of spirit, that pureness of spirit that we're destined to evolve with. And we get there by having a clear conscience, right? And we're confident knowing each day by living that way that we're closer and closer to evolving. So the question to number 3, you probably already know, right? How can you be both worldly and evolve spiritually? That's what we've been talking about. This is the answer, right? With a clear conscience, with helping others, with being happy, with being cheerful. The takeaway for this slide and this part of the chapter was simply that, yeah, we want to be virtuous, but virtue does not consist in assuming a stern and gloomy face or in rejecting the pleasures that your human condition allows. You got 6 senses, right? Or 5 if you don't believe in some of the stuff we believe in, right? Right? You got these senses. Enjoy them. Utilize them. Because it's in stimulating those senses that you interact with others and that you grow. And that kind of leads us to question number 4, the last question of the night. Would isolating yourself from material pleasure assist you in being less worldly and more spiritual? If you just cut yourself off from some of this stuff, would that help? What do you guys think?
I think we are in material world with the material body. We need the material things to keep the body alive. So, ooh.
Wow, we got a mic. Do we have a boom mic over
You got
there?
a
Oh, it's
spirit
right
with
there.
you
I know.
I knew we were getting a reverb. That's pretty cool. We are like high tech, man. We got one on every table. Wow.
Okay, I have help.
You still do.
I know.
It's right there. It's on the table. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I distracted you.
It's a hypocrisy. You say, oh, I want to be spiritual. And some people, they are so fanatical. Oh, I will go like a monkey, no eat, nothing, just play all day long. But they do nothing for anybody else in the world. So I think it's like...
So balance. Goes back to
yeah,
balance,
that is
yeah?
out for balance. That is extreme.
Don't get me wrong. If
You know?
all you're
Oh,
doing
it's
is
not
staying inside and praying, you're not necessarily doing bad.
Yeah,
You're not
but
hurting
do
people.
Good as well for others.
Exactly.
You
Yes.
yourself,
I agree with
isolate
you.
yourself. You don't grow. You don't learn to deal with the people, challenge, or even help others by isolating
Okay.
yourself. I think that is so extreme. It's too fanatical.
Fair enough. Any other thoughts? We on the same? Yes, ma'am.
I think, when we talk about materialism, there's a section in the gospel that talks about, the things that have been given to us, or in this case, borrowed for this life, are also going to be held accountable to that, right? And so I think it's understanding that everything that we have is our responsibility, and the more that we're given, the more responsibility that we're going to have in making sure that we're doing good with the
Yeah.
things that are given to us. So I think as long as we understand our responsibility and understand that everything that's given to us will be held accountable afterwards, I think
And what we do with it.
we're
yeah.
okay with it, yeah.
I also think, just from my own experience, I've been up and down financially at different points in my life. When I'm chasing money or when I have chased money in the past, I never have enough, right? Whether I've got millions or none, right? If I'm chasing it, if that's my goal, you never have enough. When I don't worry about money, it seems to be when I make money. When I'm just trying to do what I do and help people and lead by example, it's like the universe just opens up to me, man. So I think what you're saying makes a lot of sense. It resonates with me. Live in balance. It's okay to enjoy, but don't make it your goal. So thank you. Can you believe I'm calling you ma'am? I've known her since she was like this tall, man, and I'm calling her ma'am. It's like, I love it, man. Watch you, you're all grown up. It's wonderful. Any other thoughts on this question? Yes, sir.
I don't really understand the question. Does it mean that, like, by isolating yourself, does it mean that you're actually not partaking in it at all?
Yeah.
Basically shunning it, or are you just trying to not live your life constantly, through material?
And I think that's the question, in the sense of,
because you can have something, but you can have a lot of things, but still, meditate and do other things. But if you're constantly just, driving your Ferrari around, I don't know, that's.
I never got tired of driving my Ferrari. I'm kidding. I don't have a Ferrari. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But I don't know if I'd get bored of that. I think let's put it, instead of asking the question, let me paint a picture.
Okay.
I'm addicted to money. I'm addicted to success. It's hypothetical. All right? I'm not saying this is me. But if I was, and then all of a sudden I had this come to the light kind of epiphany. Said, all right, this is what I've been doing. Here's what I'm going to do. There's this island in the Caribbean that's for sale. I can pick it up I got enough money. I can buy it. I'm going to buy this island, and I'm going to get a fishing pole. I'm going to set up a water distillery, and I'm just going to go live there. And I'm not taking anybody. I'm going to solve my problem of my greed and my addiction and my vice by just leaving it, and I'm going to go live on an island. Think about that. Or I'm going to sell all my worldly possessions, and I'm going to live under that I-4 overpass at Conroy, right? Because there's plenty of room up there. I could sleep up there. I won't get wet. That's what we're talking about here.
Okay, I got you.
All right. So does that make it easier to answer that question?
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome, good. Sorry, man. Sometimes I got to break it down. So, and I think we know the answer, right? And these next couple slides define it for us, right? The caveat they say to this whole thing, in all that we do, right? You have to look to the source of all things. Do not do anything without the thought of God purifying and sanctifying your actions. And if you disappear, if you pull away from the world and isolate yourself and your exposure to material type things, you're not challenging yourself, and you have no opportunity to do the good that you could if you interacted with others, right? As Christ told us, right? He said, perfection is found entirely in the practice of absolute charity. You can't practice charity if you don't throw yourself into the lion's den, right? Or into the world. You've got to take risks. You've got to expose yourself to temptation. You've got to expose yourself to other people's vice or negative energy. You've got to be interacting with it to overcome it. Right? So you've got to try. And the duties of charity extend to all social positions, from the lowest to the highest. Those who live in isolation would have no charity to practice. All right? So I didn't buy the island. Okay? I live over here near Winter Garden. Right? I'm trying to make it happen. And they kind of beat this home a little bit more in the next slide. Right? It's only through contact with others in the most arduous struggles. That's pretty strong, the most arduous struggles. Think about that. You lost your job, you're broke, you got divorced, your wife cheated on you, you're addicted to crack, you can't make your car payment because somebody stole your money, right? You invested with Bernie Madoff and he ripped you, right? You got nothing left. That's an arduous struggle, right? What else is arduous? It doesn't have to be that extreme. Maybe you got a vice that you can't shake. Right? No matter what you do, you just seem to keep going back to something that you wish you didn't do. Right? We've all been there probably, or maybe we haven't. You don't kill people. You don't rip off people. But you're not good to yourself. You don't love yourself. Right? Not good. It could be simple, but you keep blaming yourself for the same mistake that maybe you made 20 years ago. Right? You hurt somebody or somebody hurt you. You haven't forgiven them and you haven't forgiven yourself. You got to be charitable to yourself, right? And once we forgive ourselves and we and this is, and I won't get too personal, but my wife and I have been going through some challenges, not in the relationship, not that way, but as a house, as an entity, we've been kind of challenged by the outside world a little bit. We're strong, right? We're together. There's nothing like that, but we've been going through changes from outside influences, and what I've come to grips with in the last couple of weeks, especially the last couple of days, because it was taking its toll on me. I'm not doing tobacco. As many of you know, that's one of my vices that I haven't completely shaken, right? So I haven't gone back to that, but I'm eating a lot out of emotional stress, concern for things that are happening in our life a little bit, and I'm gaining weight. And it finally dawned on me, like 3 days, I was talking to Olivia. Was it Monday night we talked? And she said, you guys know Olivia, right? She has this way of touching you without touching you, right? It's amazing. But we were having a very simple conversation. I was sharing with her what I'm sharing with you, and she said something to the effect, hey, don't beat yourself up, right? You're trying, you're here, you're getting help, you're in treatment, right? All this stuff. And then it dawned on me, it's really that simple. Before you do anything, pray. Ask for help. And that happened to me the last 2 days, especially today. I was really strong today. I've been in situations at work where we've had the public in for open houses and events, right? Educational events. So we feed them, and they got cakes, and they got cookies, and they got all kinds of good food. And I have a hard time in those situations. I'm like a little kid in a candy shop, right? When there's a buffet. But I was so strong today. And the thing that made me strong today and yesterday is as I started to go into habit of reaching for stuff, right? I said to myself, would that be pleasing to God, right? Would that be doing my body good? Would that be the right choice to elevate myself and my energy? So simple and corny if you think about it. But I've been victorious for 2 days, thank God, right? Just because I don't and all it took was this, reading this stuff and putting it down on paper a little bit. Just, is that good for me? Is that what Jesus would have done? Is that what is going to help me elevate myself spiritually? So corny, simple, but true. So I hope that helps. All right, enough about me. What's the gospel tell us? It says, do not imagine that in order to live in constant communication with us, right, to live in the Lord's sight, that you must live in isolation and protection from others, constantly praying. No, no, no. Go out and live, right? Be happy in accordance with the needs of humankind. May your happiness never hold a thought or commit an action that might offend God. And that's my story that I was sharing with you. Would that offend God if I beat myself up, if I didn't take care of my body, right? So just by not wanting to offend the creation that God gave me in life, it's helping me live better. And hopefully, I do more and more of it. And finally, they tell us this, right? May your actions never cloud the face of those who love and guide you. What does that mean? Love and guide you. The choices you make. I think about this a lot. My dad will tell stories about when he changed some of his ways, when his father died. Like in his mind, when his father had died and gone to heaven, he didn't do some of the things that he might have done because he didn't want to offend his father. So when I read this, it makes me think of my dad. But more importantly, it talks about, to me, never cloud the face of those who love and guide you. So we all have guardian angels. We all have mentors, and they're here to help us. And if we open our hearts and we open our energy and we let ourselves receive their guidance, we're going to get it. So what they're telling us here is, don't do anything that would cloud their face, that would shield them from you, that would make them, so maybe they're not ready for us right now, right? Because you're doing other things. God is love, and God blesses all those who love virtuously. So in our actions every day, try not to do things that would cloud their attention. They're always there for you, but you've got to invite them in. You've got to be willing and accept their direction. And you do that by elevating your energy, by making good choices, and spending your time more and more each day elevating that energy. All right, I'm done. I appreciate your time and attention. If you have any questions, feel free. If not, we're going to have vibrations, and then we'll do passes. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.